American singer, rapper, songwriter Tommy Richman was at a show, and he has some very interesting things to say about how music is dying currently. So let's watch the video, and then I have a question to pose to you all after we watch the content.
Excellent.
All right.
I feel like music is in an interesting place in 2024. I feel like it's in a real interesting place. And I feel like people's attention spans and people's just value to art is gone. I feel like now is the time for people coming up to bring the art back. Let's go. Bring the art back.
Let's go.
Amen. Amen.
I feel like the art is dying.
Oh, yeah.
The art of building out a world is dying. I feel like Tyler, the Creator, is the only one doing that. Yeah. He's the only one.
Come on.
One of them. Yeah.
I got hype when he said that.
Too lazy. All I gotta say is believe in yourself. Try to be something that is not coming out today. Like everybody in the same and it's dying. Music is dying.
Did we get the point?
Yeah, I think we got the point.
I think we did.
I think we know where he's going.
I got an interesting take on him in general, but go ahead and.
So here's my thing. We pretty much, Terry spoke for us earlier. I think I'm going to do the same here. Pretty much agree for the most part, I would say, across the board. If we have any different opinions, we obviously will voice those. Mm-hmm. But here's my question. So if more artists start to use their platform, this is a pretty dope, I don't know how big the show is or whatever, but I like that he's using this moment to say it, room full of people being passionate about it. Do we think if more people and artists start to take advantage of their platforms doing this, can the message start to be received, or is this just a conversation that continues to come up and then just gets pushed under the rug?
No, people don't care, man.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, these artists don't care because, I mean, we've talked about this many a times. There's literally a formula that's involved in making it happen now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Tommy Richman actually took advantage of that. The thing about it is his sounds more structured, so to speak. But lyrically, if you listen to his lyrics, they're very simple, but they follow a melody. And I liken it to Young Thug, because Young Thug can create these melodies. It's almost like,
or it's catchy.
It's catchy, yeah. Tommy Richman, in my personal opinion, creates music. Like, did y'all listen to his album at all?
No.
So
that's why I'm glad you're saying that, because I'm kind of asleep. I just did a little research.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I see the value in what, what's this name of the song? $1 Million Baby.
$1 Million Baby.
I see because as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, I see where this works. But at the same time, I was like, it doesn't make me want to listen to the rest of his project.
So I'm going to tell you, I listened to his project.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Tell me what it was like.
He's stupid.
I feel like some of this stuff I have to listen to.
Yeah.
Now, he has some joints on there that are going to work.
Okay.
But the thing about it is, in my personal opinion, Tommy Richman is the person that should be directing an artist on how to do these songs versus him actually doing the song. If that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Because he's doing it. I remember we had this conversation about the $1 Million Baby a while ago.
Yeah.
And somebody brought up the example that, well, the Bee Gees did the same thing. And my rebuttal was, the Bee Gees lyrics were a lot better than a Tommy Richman, though. Like, they used the same octave and things like that, but it wasn't the same thing. The only thing that makes you think it's the same is the octave. But some of his music, to me, is weird, and it's not weird in a good way. Like, it sounds like it's trying to be old but new, but the new isn't vibrant enough to make me be like, this is the joint. It's just like, and you're doing something different. I applaud you for that. But at the same time, it lacks depth to me.
So here's my question with what you just said, because you just said it. You mentioned Thug earlier, right. Reference point with the melodies and stuff like that. So I was going to ask you, is he half preaching to himself when he's saying this?
Well, I think he feels like he's doing it because he's doing something different. It is a different sound.
That's what I'm looking for.
Just because it's a different sound doesn't mean that
it's good.
Exactly. That's where I'm going. Just because it's different doesn't make it good.
I mean, it's just what it is.
Hey.
But to the point, like, that he is saying, I think the thing that he is saying is kind of obvious for people that enjoy music. I think most people already know that music is kind of down this path. To your question, Mike, I don't think that if artists continue to come out and say this, I don't think it's really going to have any type of impact on anything, because the consumers are still going to consume the way that they consume.
And you know what? That's the word. I'm glad you used that word, because everything is based off of the consumer. So no matter who preaches and who, because I'm torn between that, because I'm like, I'm always looking at it as if a lot of people form like Voltron and just start this message, maybe something will change. And then you guys always bring it back to ground level and say, it's just not going to work. The consumers control it and programming, and it just is what it is, right? I didn't mean to cut you off, Lone, my fault, but I see where you're going.
You're good.
No, I mean, look, I think we have this conversation on a regular basis, and even when we weren't having the conversation, it happens it just gets some people be like, man, they just don't do this anymore, or they don't do this. Even when records were selling. Look, I remember I was going back and, you know, it went down a rabbit hole, and I saw this video of Dennis Edwards and talking to David Ruffin. You know, they were about to go on tour and do it. And it was like, man, they just don't sing about love anymore. And like, when I'm thinking about when they said it, it's like, that's all they sang about. You know, they don't sing about the love in the way that you want to hear them singing about love. Yeah. You know, there's always someone who's like, man, artistry is just not there anymore. And I'm like, and maybe it's because I'm a fan of music. When I hear that, I was like, what are you talking about? You know, when people say, you know, don't be wrong, shout out to him for giving props to Tyler. But I was like, and I think maybe we're in rarefied air in a way that we listen to so much music, even if we're just talking about the reviews that we do on when we review videos and we talk about certain things. It's like, man, look at all this talent. Look at all these people who are creating these fantastic sounds. You know, if you are Tommy Richman, you're probably in spaces where you're kind of in a bubble to where you hear your music that is produced by people who are around you, who are already in sort of a major hit-driven system. And then you're thinking, oh, is this all there is? And I know better. So I'm like, okay, I see where the argument comes in, just because we have the argument everywhere all the time.
I think also what he's speaking on has come from a little bit of a little sneak amount of arrogance of thinking, you know, Tyler's the only one doing it, but he's including himself in that conversation.
Yeah, ain't nowhere near. See, the thing about Tyler is Tyler is a musician. Yeah. And Tyler can do multiple things when it comes to this music, this visual, this. Pretty much, he calls himself Tyler the Creator.
Production,
he's very good at creating.
That. Yep.
I have yet to see Tommy Richman perform somewhere and sound like he does on those albums or those records that he recorded.
I've only heard him sound like his $1 Million Baby song, and it sounds just like a gimmick to me.
But did you see him perform it live?
I have not.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, because
if you see him perform it live, he can't replicate that.
I mean, when you take all the vocal processing, look, I saw an old video of Al B. Sure, and he couldn't replicate those vocals either. Hey, when he was all, you know, when he was doing "Rescue Me" and "Off on Your Own Girl," like he can't
high octaves. He couldn't
replace it on stage or replicate that on stage.
That's why he had a couple albums and he was up out of here.
Oh no, and also like everything that he did after that, he never sang in that high register again.
Yeah.
But even back to the original point here, not to focus too much on like Tommy Richman.
I'm sorry, it's
no.
Talking.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just bringing it back.
I'm
just bringing it back. I feel like this is to your point, Jay. I feel like this is something we talk about regularly on the show.
Yes.
And you know, if we're going to address like artists become lazy because the consumer allows it, and it doesn't mean that artists shouldn't continue to push the envelope. And this goes back to my whole conversation, which you can look up past episodes. I don't remember which one, but it's like, you know, there's difference between content creators and musicians and artists, you know, and that's just kind of what it is. And so, you know, it's just kind of a really blatantly obvious thing. It's like, but I don't think music is dying, because if you look out there, there's plenty of great music out there, and we showcase it every week.
Yep. So. And that's the part where, you know, we always hear the saying, two things can be true. His analysis, I think, is pretty accurate up until the point where he says music is dying, because to Jay Moore's point, what you guys are saying about when we do our reviews, we know better than that. You just have to sift through and find it.
But like,
you know what I'm saying?
But who's he preaching to on stage? That, to me, that's, you know, like, because remember you were just like, you know, more artists. I'm like, but the crowd is the consumer.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point, because who's receiving the message? That's fair. That's fair.
You know, so
it ain't like he was on a pulpit saying that.
Music is not dying. The music industry is dying.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll take it. The movie industry is dying.
Yeah.
The video game, anything that used to make its a lion's share of its profits off of physical media is dying.
They dying. They going to hell.
Print is dead,
and they're going to hell.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think mainstream music, in his opinion, is dying because he wants to group himself in a category. Again, like you brought up, well, he brought up Tyler the Creator. You reiterated that he wants to be included in that Tyler the Creator
got 2 songs, maybe.
Yeah,
and
you're not Tyler. You're not Tyler the Creator. Tyler the Creator is. He's had Adult Swim shows. He's run 2 Grammys now.
Yeah.
Clothing.
Now, Tommy Richman got his start. Well, I can't say he got his start. I know the first time I heard him was with Brent Faiyaz. So he's on Brent Faiyaz's last album, and the song that he's featured on sounds very similar to $1 Million Baby. So he took that song, created $1 Million Baby. It took off. Kudos to him.
Yeah.
You sound different than everybody that's out right now, but you have to make it good. It can't just sound good. It can't be catchy until you really show something that you're a for real musician and you're outside of the mainstream bubble. I don't think you can really make that statement.
Yeah, I think he can make the statement. I hear the undertones is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like anybody can make that statement. You know, like,
but you got to show and prove if you're using your soapbox for that.
Yeah, to Terry's point, when you start dropping names and starting to group yourself,
it's like, hey,
that's the part where it's like, come on.
It's like, I'm doing these things.
Yeah, that right there.
Calm your ass down.
Yeah, that part is the part where we got to hold you accountable, buddy. Shout out to the message, but you are not that.
Let us see
some
some more first.
Yeah. Then maybe you can say it.
All right. Maybe next time, Tommy.
Hey, I appreciate the
maybe we can go to the next one.